Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, co-editor-in-chief of Retail Insider. My guest today is Sahar Saidi, who is founder of Love Your Curls, based in Toronto. Thanks for joining us today, Sahar.
Thank you for having me, Mario.
Well, let me just start by asking, tell me a little bit of the history of how, Love Your Curls began and why.
Sure. I mean, I've been living with this my whole life. And like most people with curly hair, I grew up hating it. And I would say from the time I was 15 years old, I had bought every product on the market, just trying to control it and tame it and straighten it and, tone it down. And when I started this company, I was in my mid 30s and I still hadn't found a solution on the market that worked for me. So I figured no one's done it. Let me go and solve this myself. So fast forward 10 years and here we are.
And so tell me just a little bit about Love Your Curls and what you do.
Yeah, so I started out just trying to simplify curly hair care. What I found was even brands that were made by people with curly hair, they kind of followed the same innovation ethos and messaging of the larger brands. So curly hair was positioned as a problem to be fixed. And, by the time I was in my mid 30s, I already loved my curls. I just didn't want to spend an hour and a half every day doing them. And that's how long it was taking me. And not because I'm a beauty junkie, but because my hair without product in it is about this big. It's very kinky and coily. And, I had to spend a lot of time and money buying products just to, I would say, like make it look like this. And so I started looking at products on the market and just wondering why no one had created an all-in-one product that did the job of, three others that I was piling on my head. And
Hmm.
that kind of sent me down a rabbit hole of talking to different cosmetic chemists and labs across North America and using my own head of curls as a starting point and as a testing ground for different formulations. And it kind of that's what propelled us into the market was just curly hair simplified. And that's what we started with. It was a three-step system consisting of a shampoo, a conditioner, and an all-in-one styling product. And over the years, we've listened to the community in terms of what they want and how do we innovate, and we've complemented the three-step system.
And sorry, what year did you start?
So I started working on the company in 2015, but we officially launched to the public in January of 2017.
Okay, and in terms of the format or how
Yeah.
you launched, was it direct to consumer initially?
You got it, and we're still direct to consumer, which is, I think, a rare breed nowadays. But yeah, so we still sell our products primarily through our own .com store and our Amazon channels. But retail expansion is on the horizon for us.
Tell me a little bit about that. What are you thinking there, and what are you hoping to do?
I never intended to build a direct-to-consumer company. I mean, I fell in love with the products personally, and they were such a life-changing experience for me that, like most founders, I was willing to do whatever it took to get the product into the hand of the end user. And I was willing to go door to door to sell this stuff to salons and to end customers. But back in 2017, this is when, Facebook marketing and social media marketing in general worked. And so, we became a direct-to-consumer brand, and it was a great opportunity for a brand like ours to just have that direct link to the community, collect feedback. It helped us with our innovation pipeline. And fast forward 10 years, we know that, retail expansion is a necessary next step. And I'm really, really excited to be here finally. I think a lot of brands go into retail early. And I respect what big retailer distribution can do for a brand like ours. And I've just wanted to make sure that, we were ready before we embarked on this journey.
So, are you meaning like in stores,
Yes,
at different
correct.
stores? Like, what would be a good synergies for you? Do you think? What types of stores?
Yeah, so I think Sephora is interesting. Sephora has they're growing their hair care footprint, and they've brought in some curly hair products recently. Then and when you walk into a Sephora store, their sales associates seem to be familiar with the different brands, which is nice. Chatters is a great fit. I mean, they focus on hair. They have a salon slash retail model. And of course, our favorite Shoppers Drug Mart is also a great place for hair discovery.
Okay, wonderful. What's curl typing? I've seen that phrase.
Yeah, so it's so interesting. Curl typing is it's a system that was actually developed by Oprah Winfrey's hairstylist back in the 90s.
Oh,
And it essentially breaks down hair typing by a letter and numbering system. And it's based on the shape and pattern of your hair. So type 1 hair, for example, would be pin straight hair. And it goes all the way up until 4C, which would be the tightest of kinks and coils. And so it goes 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 3C, 4A, 4B, 4C. And when I first started looking into this space back in 2015, 16, a lot of curlier consumers were still very unfamiliar with this system. And I just thought it's interesting. It's an interesting system to base a simplification of curly hair on. And that's I think our three-step system, the third step was customized by curl type.
oh, okay then. And when you look at the industry as a whole,
Hmm.
has the hair care industry grown in the last few years?
Oh,
And I'm
absolutely.
curious, actually, if we go back a little bit in time, because you obviously had a business during the COVID period,
Mm.
my initial thoughts would be that a business that deals with beauty and hair care and all that probably got hit hard because, quite frankly, I'm sitting at home in my pajamas. I'm not going into the office or going out, right? Who cares
Mhm.
what I look like? Can you talk about that experience through
And
COVID?
it's interesting, right? Because I think I remember reading that basically beauty above here grew, but lips declined during COVID because everyone was wearing masks, right? So they weren't buying their lipstick, but they were buying their mascara and
Yeah,
eyebrow beauty products. But hair, curly hair in particular, was really interesting during COVID because salons were closed. And a lot of people with curly hair who were doing something with their hair, whether it was straightening, relaxing, or anything else. They were at home, and for the first time ever, they had to actually manage their own curls. So I think it started this discovery journey, and it was almost consumers who had never purchased curly hair products became curious. They said, "Oh, okay, well, my stylist isn't there to do a blowout for me, and this is what I'm dealing with. How do I deal with it?" So we saw a new set of consumers come to our brand during that time to say, they were I call them like new to curly hair. They've had curly hair their whole life, but they don't wear it naturally curly. So they're curious. And I
yeah.
think a brand like ours was well positioned to educate and in a very simple way, not to overwhelm the consumer with a very narrow SKU count to say, okay, if you're new to curly hair, you start with this. And if you're looking for more volume or more definition or more frizz control, then you will add these products. So we got hit during COVID, but not for those reasons. I think the category did grow and it's still one of the fastest growing categories of beauty.
Okay. What were you doing before this?
I have probably one of the most unconventional career paths. I mean, I started out in door-to-door sales when I was 18 and, moved into health and wellness. And, I moved to the Caribbean. I was working in private aviation. I had absolutely nothing to do with beauty or retail. And this was a real curly girl trying to solve her own problem. I wasn't trying to start a business. I was just like, can I make a product that works for me? And then I think solving that problem for myself led to this, like, no, I must get this out to market. And that's how this company happened.
Oh, cool. Yeah. What was when you look back and when you
Mm.
started, uh, what was the biggest challenge you faced starting a business?
Money, startup capital. And of course, like most entrepreneurs, I had a great business plan and I was knocking on doors and I was either told I wasn't asking for enough money. And I think, when I was starting out, I was asking for $1 million and then I cut it down to 500,000, then 250,000. And everyone thought I was crazy back then to try to start a company with so little money and an e-commerce brand at that. And I actually ended up starting the company for less than $100,000, which was money I took out of my own line of credit and coupled with a loan that I got from BDC and Futurepreneur, the Business Development Bank of Canada. So yeah, I started the company with less than 100,000 and we did over 1 million in sales our first year.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean that was probably the biggest challenge and what almost made it a non-starter. So
Was that a bit of a shocker to you that you went when you were going through it, right? And seeing that, hey, no, this is an idea that is actually works.
yeah, I think this was my personal mission as an entrepreneur was just to prove that entrepreneurs can start companies for $100,000 or less, and they can scale them to large, sizable businesses and do so profitably. And how do you do that? So my mission was always to do it and then teach others how to do it. But 10 years in, I mean, like most people, I'm going to start this company, it's going to grow, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to do something else after. And 10 years in, I'm still here, and I'm just so excited by our recent rebrand, where we're actually doing away with curl typing, which is what we discussed earlier and what I built the brand on.
Yeah.
Really to move towards modern curl inclusivity, because the shape and pattern of your hair is important, but it's not the full answer, right? It's only one input. And when we imagined what our lineup would look like going from DTC online to store, it just felt like we had to break curl typing and categorize our products into smart collections to make it easy for the consumer to shop. So we're here now, and that's, it still keeps me excited 10 years into doing this.
All right, wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, Mario.
Okay, that was Sahar Saidi, who is founder of Love Your Curls in Toronto. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, co-editor in chief of Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.